Yeah, we used to do a lot of smiling on this show. Those were the days.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for starting your day with us here at Locked On Spartans. Or if you're listening to the live show on YouTube, hey, thanks a ton for ending your wonderful day here with Locked On Spartans. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan, and we're going to have a lot of fun on this one, talking about, surprise, the day ends in Y, and MSU was on the road. Guess what happened next? They lost. So we're going to talk about that. And the basketball team, will they make the tournament? What's going to happen this weekend against Rutgers? We're going to talk all about that, segments 1 and 2. Then segment 3, we're going to try to have some fun going into the weekend. We got a listener question saying, hey, how can Jonathan Smith become the next Nick Saban? So, yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. But now is not the time for smiles in segments 1 and 2. Like I said, I'm just so sick of this, man. I'm just so tired of just watching the same unit lose these games the same way over and over again. But before I start yelling and getting irrational here, 71-68. Illinois, with surely their best player on the team playing and definitely their student section filling up their home stands. Yes, Eli and I win the game. And of course, I'm being sarcastic. No, Terrence Shannon was out. Yes, the students that fill up the Orange Crush, they were not even there. But that didn't stop Michigan State from snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. And look, this is how we're going to start this thing. There are 4 reasons Michigan State lost this game. Let's just jump right into the mix here. Reason number 1, this might be a fleeting moment to you, but as it was unfolding, I thought to myself, we might be circling this little stretch of time here. And that is exactly what I'm going to do for reason 1 of why Michigan State lost this game. Now, what I'm going to do for my first act is do something insane, and that is critique our Hall of Fame head coach. All right, here we go. And no, I'm not even going to rip on him for the transfer portal or anything like that. No, I'm going to fast forward to the second half when Michigan State is up 48-42. Oh boy, the fellas are cooking. Cohen Carr, who, thanks for playing him for all of 33 seconds. That was really nice of you. Anyway, Cohen Carr slams one home for the 48-42 lead. And then what happens next is Illinois goes on a 7-2 run, 3 minutes and 30 seconds without a stoppage in time. Now, you might think to yourself, 7-2 run, okay, that's not like a crazy run. It's not like a 16-1 run or anything. And hey, a 7-2 run, doesn't Michigan State still have the lead after that? Yeah, they were still up 50-49. But during that stretch, the 3 minutes and 30 seconds with no stoppage, you can see with Michigan State's offense, they had 3 of the emptiest possessions you will see all season. Don't believe me? Hop back in your DVR and watch it for yourself. AJ Hoggard is dribbling the ball up the court, looking like he's on mile number 25 of a marathon, fighting for his life. 3 possessions in a row. I don't even know if Michigan State completes 2 passes to one another. Shot clock bleeds down, and oh, would you look at that? You didn't get anything out of them. If only there was, something you can do to pause a game for a little bit, gather your very tired team, and make sure all momentum doesn't slip away. Well, too little, too late, because after that little run where Michigan State still had a 50-49 lead, surely more cozy than the 48-42 lead they had, right after that, right after they get out of the break, Illinois 3-pointer. And this leads into reason number 2, Michigan State lost that game, because in the following sequence after that moment when Illinois snatched a 52-50 lead, here was your following shots from Michigan State's shot selection down the stretch is reason number 2, Michigan State lost this game. Malik Hall, turnaround 7-footer, and I don't even know if the ball got 9 feet 11 inches off the floor. He had a good game overall. He had some very kind of airhead moments, but by and large, I think Malik had a solid game. That was not one of those moments, though. Tyson Walker with a nice layup. And then Jaden Akins, sure, why not? With double digits left on the shot clock, let's try that turnaround 16-footer. Meanwhile, Illinois on the other end. And they had a blocked layup right there. Okay, that was their first after their three-pointer out of the timeout. And then free throws, and then a dunk, and then a three-pointer off an offensive rebound. And would you look at that smart shot selection by Illinois? Got them a 59-52 lead. Now, reason 3, we don't have to spend too much time on this. Sometimes you just got to chalk it up to the game. Sometimes you got to just say, hey, that's life in basketball. Sometimes teams hit shots and sometimes others don't. Coleman Hawkins buried 2 wide open three-pointers down the stretch. You know what 2 I'm talking about. Meanwhile, on Michigan State's end, Tyson Walker missed 2 3-pointers that went halfway down. If we were playing Pop-A-Shot at Chuck E. Cheese, that little sensor would have counted those 2 shots as in, but life is not like that in real basketball. And then Jaden Akins, maybe the most wide open shot he will have all season with Michigan State down 3 with about 2 minutes left. Misses that one too. So there was the difference. One team just made shots, the other team didn't. And reason number 4, I'm not going to be as hung up on it as a lot of Michigan State fans, but surely officiating just has to be pointed at here. And I know that, okay, if you're an Illinois fan watching this or a rival fan, you're going to say, oh, classic Sparty, complaining about the referees. But no, truly, watch that last moment where Coleman Hawkins acted like he got shot in the back with a sniper rifle, where AJ Hoggard maybe just lightly put his forearm on him. Instead of a Michigan State rebound, down 1, that's 2 shots for Hawkins. He hits both. Illinois up 3. Before that sequence even happened, Malik Hall buried a nice shot. This is one of the good moments for Malik Hall. Buried the shot to cut the lead to 1. Should have been an and 1 because, it was called a foul about 18 seconds earlier on Illinois' end. And 22 free throws for Illinois to 7 for Michigan State. That is a wide disparity. And no, you cannot say that, oh, well, that's just the way Michigan State played the game today. They didn't attack the paint or anything. BS. Okay, they had 52-point field goal attempts. A handful of those, handfuls of those, may I say, were in the paint. They had 38 points in the paint in the game. They were attacking the paint. They were being aggressive. One team got rewarded for it, Illinois, and one team didn't. But again, yes, I got a little fiery there, but not as fiery as I should be, because this is just what you get with Big Ten officiating. I remember 15 years ago, may have already used this analogy beforehand on this show because this is just an annual thing we get with Big Ten officiating, but what I compare it to is 15 years ago. I'm in a youth baseball tournament. We did this tournament for a few years over at Helmich Park over in Warren. Great time. One of the quirks of that tournament, though, was that the umpiring was atrocious. And it actually became an inside joke amongst teams. And no team could really complain about it because in the end of that tournament, each team was going to get bent over by the umpires at least a handful of times during that weekend. That's just what Big Ten officiating is in basketball. It is a horrendous product week in and week out, whether it's today's game where, okay, it was heavily slanted to one team, or the Northwestern game. And no, I'm not going to blame officiating for that game because it was a ref show on both ends. But Big Ten officiating is horrendous. And if you want to use that as the blame for costing Michigan State today, go for it. I'm going to use the other 3 reasons for that. I'm going to use the reason of, hey, how come there's been very minimal improvement with every single player outside of Tyson Walker here? And that's not to say that some guys didn't have good games today. AJ Hoggard, solid game, just like we talked about. Malik Hall, he had overall a good game, I think. But still, it's not enough improvement, especially if you're a 23-year-old player like those guys I just mentioned. It has been a slog of a season. No, we're not going to take some odd moral victory from this because, hey, they were right there. They could have won if it wasn't for the refs. Oh, they were just a shot away from great. Who cares? So I know there's a lot of panic about, okay, are they going to make the tournament? What happens next? We're going to get to all of that here in a hot second, but first just need to talk your ears off about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Gang, jump into the mix this NFL Sunday, Saturday, and Monday slate. I know I went out of order there. My brain is a pretzel right now. Anyway, the NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. So when you're looking at this wild card weekend for the NFL, don't sweat the spread. Don't worry about laying points. Do not stress if your bet's even going to win. I mean, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, with a $5 bet for first-time customers. The app is super easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the Explore tab and make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays. So what are you waiting for out there? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. It's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I actually want to elaborate on the point that we kind of ended that first segment with, and I think that this is a majority opinion. I don't sit here barking into this microphone like a maniac thinking that I have some hot take, but there is still a minority out there that is saying to themselves, hey, you know, it's tough on the road in the Big Ten. It's okay. Hey, you guys are overreacting. It's just a road game. This happens all the time. Just happened to Purdue on Tuesday at Nebraska. Okay, but I'm kind of sick of seeing this, right? And how can you not be as a Michigan State fan? And no, I'm not even talking about just this season. I'm talking about since COVID started, when Cassius Winston left the Breslin Center. It has been the same thing year in and year out. Go ahead and think of a marquee road win that you could just think of like that. Actually, don't even waste your time, because there's not even a road win worth talking about with this unit. I get it. They played close today, but just like we started the show, that was as nice of a road atmosphere as you could find with no student section there. And Terrence Shannon, their All-American, isn't even playing. If Michigan State hits the road, you can just chalk it up as a loss, it seems like. It has become mind-numbing. So, no, I'm not going to do the whole, oh, they played better on the road today. Woohoo! Great. This is a team that was a top 5 recruiting class added into a team with 3 guys that are 23 years old that just had a nice little March run. Those 2 games that let us get way in over our heads. There should be expectations for this team. And if you are one of the fans that are saying, oh, stop overreacting, you know what? Maybe you're just one of the fans that have already waved the white flag and have said to yourself, Michigan State is not a powerhouse program anymore that should be taken seriously. If you want to be taken seriously as a program, enough of these shenanigans. You are 1-4 in Big Ten play. It's going to be late January at the earliest, before you are even playing yourself above 500 in the conference. What serious program says that? It has just become so annoying. Okay, don't swear, Matt. You got this. You can do it. Let's pull things together. All right, now let's talk about the super extreme fans. We just talked about the one end of fans that are saying, oh, hey, it's a road game. This thing has happened in the Big Ten, except it always happens to Michigan State, it seems like. Let's talk about the other end here. Oh my God, the NIT is right around the corner, and we might not even host a game. I'm going to add some clarity here. I'm going to add a little bit of relief, I guess you want to call it, if you are into this sort of thing, if you're into the tournament streak. And we're going to trust computers here. This is something we do often on Locked on Spartans. We reference our friends over at barttorvik.com. Yes, and Bart Torvik, despite Michigan State struggles on the road, despite how bad they've looked, they also know that this Big Ten is horrible. Is trash. This is a really brutal conference, guys. So much so that Michigan State, your basketball Spartans, are still favorites, according to the computers, in every game but 3. They will be underdogs against Wisconsin and then underdogs against Purdue. And I'm so sorry. I counted the Illinois game they just played as one of those games. So they're only underdogs in 2 more games the rest of the year. Now, of course, it's not going to go scratch. It's not going to go according to plan. They are going to lose some more games because, well, there's about, I'm counting 8 games on the road left. So you can count that they'll lose at least 6 of those. But no, on a serious note, you could plug in on barttorvik.com. You could play around with this yourself. I plugged in the games they're supposed to win, which is most of them. The games they're supposed to lose, and then a 1-1 record in the Big Ten tournament. Okay, that still spits out Michigan State squarely in the tournament. I even played around with it, and I added some losses on the road to Minnesota, a loss to horrible Michigan, and a loss to Wisconsin. I even added another loss to Maryland, too. 4 road losses that Bart Torvik doesn't even see happening. Michigan State still locked in as an 8 seed to the computers. And I know it's the age-old debate of computers versus human, but right now, Michigan State, do you know what they have been really good at this year? Losing to good teams, at least. I mean, all of their losses except one have been quad 1 losses. That one loss that is a quad 2 loss right now is that first game against James Madison. That is a quad 2 loss, but you can laugh about that, and I expect that you will, because sometimes we just have to laugh to keep ourselves from crying. But there is something to that. Like, that does actually matter to the committee of losing in quad 1 fashion, which Michigan State is just dynamite at so far. Now, what doesn't help Michigan State moving forward, I know it's fun that they're only going to be underdogs in 2 more games right now, subject to change the rest of the season. But they're favorites in a lot of those games because, there are not a lot of opportunity for quad 1 wins left on the schedule. Right now, I count 1 against Wisconsin on the road. I count 2, the home game against Illinois. I count 3 at Purdue. Those are your only quad 1 games left. So that means that, sure, yeah, you could be winning the rest of your games, but they're not going to impress the committee if you win. However, if you lose, now it gets a little slippery. If you lose to, hey, say home against Maryland. That's a quad 3 loss. That's not good. So there's a long way of saying that, sure, the loss that you had in the past, you can reason with those. There's some rationale behind as to how that happened, and the committee isn't going to mind too much at the end of the day. But now that those games are gone, now it's the games on the schedule that have very minimal reward, but very high damage if you do lose those games. So fun. This is what we get to look forward to at the end of the season as a former top 5 team going into the year with so much senior talent. This is fun. This is a great time. Let's look forward to Sunday's game, because who doesn't want to see more of this team? Oh, Rutgers, noon. I don't even know what channel it's on. Who cares? I care, actually, unfortunately. You care, unfortunately, because we all care way too much about this team. Noon against Rutgers. And look, I know Rutgers is very hot in the streets right now for recruiting. Steve Peichel has one of the greatest recruiting classes that you will see in the Big Ten. Certainly the best recruiting class you will see with Rutgers coming in next year. However, that's next year. They need Ace Baldwin and Dylan Harper to come in right now, because they are not that great. And I know that I'm throwing stones in a glass house right now, because Rutgers, as things stand right now, they are 9-6. Not too far from what Michigan State has, but they are an ugly 9-6. They have losses to Princeton to start the year. They have double-digit losses to Illinois, Wake Forest, Mississippi State. They beat something called Stonehill by 1 point. Go ahead, throw a dart on the map, and that might land closer to Stonehill than what my guess could ever be. But yeah, regardless, they are struggling here a little bit, except against one team. They did have a really nice win at Seton Hall. That is their only quad 1 win. They have no quad 2 wins. All their wins are quad 3 and 4. So this is a struggling Rutgers team coming to Breslin Center this Sunday. But we're going to point out some things that they do good. Their defense over in Piscataway is still top notch. 7th best in the nation in adjusted defensive efficiency. 14th in the country at turnover percentage. They are turning their opponents over 22.5% of their possessions. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Also, they have Cliff Amarui still, their center that averages 3.5 blocks per game. That is the best in the Big Ten, and 9.1 rebounds per game. That is 4th best in the conference. And another player to point out, 6'7", fifth-year senior Andre Hyatt. He's putting up 11.9 points a game. He is shooting 35% from 3, which might as well be blistering the nets in comparison to the rest of his teammates over at Rutgers, because let's just go right to what they're bad at. How can they be a bad team with a defense that good? Well, let me explain to you fine folks how. They are, get ready for this number, 292nd in the nation in offensive efficiency. That is the worst in the Big Ten. 44% effective field goal percentage, which is 18th worst in the entire nation. There are only 18 basketball playing teams of the 360-some teams in college that shoot the ball worse than Rutgers so far this year. They are 28.6% from three as a team. My God, you can get a drunk kid out of the I-zone, put him on Rutgers, and he would probably be one of the better shooters on Rutgers. They shoot 44.7% from two. They shoot 66.7% from the free throw stripe. Now, I know full well, now that we just said all of those numbers, Rutgers will shoot 11 of 13 from three on Sunday. They will go 19 of 20 from the free throw line. I know how this works on Locked On Spartans. Once we point out some bad stats about a team, the opposite's always going to happen. But for now, that's what Rutgers is all about. The computers, once again, we're going to take a trip over to Bart Torvik. They project a Michigan State victory by 12.9 points. So, a game our Spartans should win because, well, if they ain't winning at home, they ain't winning at all. I'm sorry, guys. I was going to say I'm trying, but I'm actually not trying. I'm just so beaten down and just downtrodden by any sport that's playing a game during their season. Whatever. Enough about me. Let's talk about Gametime, the best ticketing app out there. Folks, need to talk your ears off about this. If you are brave enough to go see our lines at Ford Field this Sunday, hey, get on Gametime right now. Check out their flash deals. I know tickets for this game are going crazy, but hey, get some flash deals on Gametime. They will be the best prices that you will find around. Or if you are really feeling yourself after knocking back a few at bookies before the game, as you're walking into Ford Field, open up your app right there. You're going to find some great last-minute deals on Gametime. The two great reasons I love Gametime: the flash deals, the last-minute deals. They have the greatest prices out there. They make it so painless to buy your tickets. It is boop, boop, 2 taps, and they are sent straight to your phone. It is a seamless process with Gametime. I will be using Gametime for the rest of my life. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's right. Take a little more money off those tickets this Sunday when you download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off of your first purchase. Download Gametime today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And let's try to put a smile on our face here to end the show, because Ryan had a wonderful question, as he always does, at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Always a delight when Ryan and really all of you guys email over at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Now, in the wake of Nick Saban retiring, that's right, Spartan legend Nick Saban. That's right. Let's make things clear. Ryan writes in, Jonathan Smith is the next Nick Saban. How does he do it? What does MSU do to keep him here and build his dynasty in East Lansing? Well, it starts with the following. We're going to go outside of East Lansing because it starts with this. It's going to start with a lot of things that maybe we've talked ourselves into being true, but all these need to start checking out to be true sooner rather than later. And we're going to start with the big dogs in the Big Ten. Teams like Ohio State. We have to manifest their downfall becoming true because, well, Ryan Day is a fraud unless he's playing some downtrodden Big Ten team. And hey, Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. They are replacing a lot of talent from last year's team. It seems to be, well, we don't have CJ Stroud, things can really go haywire. Michigan could very well be replacing their head coach and also double-digit draft picks. All right, Washington, let's say they don't bounce back from inheriting Michael Penix and a receiver room full of NFL players. James Franklin, last I checked, he's still James Franklin. So there you go, okay? This isn't beating 10 out of 10 teams. You know, this isn't just bona fide semi-pro teams. Let's say they get knocked down a few pegs, and now's the time. Now's an opportune time to start leaping up. So let's talk about the first year for Jonathan Smith. All right, let's say he goes 8-4 this year, which, if you look at the schedule, you could very easily talk yourself into 8-4. Am I saying it's likely? I don't know about that. I'm more of a 7-5 guy myself as things stand, but 8-4 could be in play. Now, that's not Nick Saban numbers, is it? Kind of. I mean, Nick Saban did go 7-6 his first year with the Crimson Tide. All right, now this is where we're going to start really turning the wheels here. 2025. Aiden Childs enters 2025 as a first-round grade NFL draft pick. This is important because this is going to jumpstart recruiting, namely from the quarterback position. 2025 quarterbacks start to take notice that, holy crap, this Jonathan Smith guy, a former quarterback himself, he can mold a quarterback just like that into a first-round draft pick, and that is where the wheels really start turning over, guys. We're going to say this a lot. The wheels got to start really going here downhill, and then when you get a really good quarterback, let's say highly rated 4-star Ryan Montgomery out of Findlay, Ohio, let's say you get him early on, bang, other top-flight players join that recruiting class. You see it happen all the time. Now, 2025, the actual season, it is a movie. We go 10-2. And the stretch is doable. Okay, I picked 4 games to have this tough stretch, and these aren't all consecutive games, but these are the 4 toughest games in 2025. At Iowa, home against Michigan, versus Penn State, and at USC. I'm sorry, I think that game is going to be at Michigan. So at Iowa, at Michigan, versus Penn State, at USC. That's tough, but if you can go 2-2 in that stretch, forget it. Whew, really caught myself there. Forget it. You can go 10-2 that year. All right, 2026. I want everyone to focus on 2026 now. First things first, cancel that road game against Notre Dame. Get that completely off the map. We are not doing any extracurricular powerhouse programs on our schedule. We're scheduling a cupcake for that one. In true SEC fashion, we ain't doing hard road games over here in East Lansing anymore. Now, 2 additional things need to happen moving forward to really start building the dynasty. USC and UCLA have to still be kind of sort of okay. Like 9-3 every year, USC goes 10-2. Like they have to be able to keep their coaches around, because let's not kid ourselves here. I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little worried that, let's say that Jonathan Smith really gets things going here. And, oh, wow, hey, what's that? He's from Cali? Oh, he's from Pasadena, where UCLA actually plays their games? Huh. Let's say the Bruins want to try to lure him, or the Trojans want to try to lure him. We need USC and UCLA to be happy during all this too, which is way easier said than done. And also, we need United Wholesale Mortgage stock to triple or quadruple, because there are going to be a lot of programs that want Jonathan Smith if he gets things going this quickly here in East Lansing. So we need Matt Ishbia's company to start making it rain in the stock market. Okay, this is important. And, okay, what couldn't hurt? Let's say that, I don't know, like, entertain this thought here. Let's say Izzo retires after this year, or maybe after 2025. Could that mean that all eyes are on football, more donor money to football, more attention to football? Probably not, but one can dream. And I know it's at the top of all your minds right now. I know that you are all thinking, Matt, when are you finally going to get to the topic that we are all thinking about right now? Global warming. When are you finally going to get to that? Well, would you have that luck? I'm going to get to it right now. Now, this is a choose-your-own adventure because, yes, the wonderful world of global warming can go either way. Let's say that if it continues to heat up the climate nationwide, that's going to help Michigan State because you want those Southern State recruits. You want the Polynesian lineman recruits. You want them to feel comfortable on their visits. You don't want them putting on the jackets. It's snowing. They don't even feel like they're at home anymore. No. If it's mild conditions in the winter, okay, that's good. Or let's say that global warming, you think it's overblown, and okay, the winter, it's miserable here. You could talk yourself into that being good for Jonathan Smith too, because sure, okay, you might not get the good recruits. Let's say they want to stay around the palm trees. But the miserable winter conditions in the 12-team playoff, you are hosting maybe a Southern school in December when it is 34 degrees, raining, 15-mile-an-hour winds. I want you to imagine what a Florida team would look like, what a Miami team would look like, an Ole Miss team, a Texas A&M team would look like if they come up to East Lansing. So you could take it either way. You can start to root for the inevitable heat death of the universe. Things start to get warm. That means better recruits because they feel at home. Or, you know what? You're being over-exaggerated right now. It's not going to happen that quick. Things are still going to be wintry in Michigan. That's where we pounce on the Southern teams. So there you have it. That is the roadmap to Jonathan Smith becoming the next Nick Saban here. I hope even 5% of that made sense, and I hope even 1% of that all becomes true. Now, here we are For the final question before we jump into the YouTube comments, Aiden Childs Enthusiast, he wrote this in today. He hit me up at Sheehan_sports on Twitter. Matt, quick question for you on the pod. What do we know about Smith's previous spring game setups? Will we get back to seeing a traditional green versus white spring game or a practice style event like the last regime? Now, I know a lot of people are passionate about the spring game, and I'm sorry, Aiden Childs Enthusiast. I think I'm going to let you down here because I know a lot of fans like the traditional spring game. But last year for Oregon State, their format was 45 minutes of open practice with an hour of scrimmaging, some of it situational. Sometimes you'd see starters for starters, but it sounds like it would be a lot of what we saw with the last regime, except maybe a longer scrimmage period. Also last year at Oregon State, they did hold out some of their key players just for the slightest chance of any of them getting injured. So don't get your hopes too high for a ground and pound smash mouth spring game coming up. They're going to want to keep their players healthy and keeps things under wraps too. So that's a good question, though. I know a lot of people have some interest on that. Still go, though. Like, it's still going to be a good time. I don't even have it in me to read the YouTube comments. I'm going to do it anyway. I just don't have it. I'm sorry. This is a horror. That's a great way to end a podcast. Just 10 minutes of just radio silence. I'm just so tired. Oh my God. I'm so tired of just watching this every single road game. I love you guys. You guys are the best. You guys are truly, honestly, the best. The only thing crazier than talking about Michigan State sports around the clock is listening about Michigan State sports around the clock, and that's what truly makes you guys one of a kind. When I say I love you guys at the end of every episode, I truly mean that. You guys are the best. Spartan Nation is the best. Better days ahead. I just hope to God they start Sunday against a terrible Rutgers team. Oh, and if it doesn't go the way we want it to on Sunday, I might just be openly weeping here on Sunday before the Lions game even starts. All right, guys. Love you all. Go Green.